Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we letter together every week. And we are doing another one in our dot journal. So for this one, we're actually gonna do a full quote. So if you don't have our dot journal that came in your monthly lettering box, then you can join along and do this on any cardstock paper or paper that you want to do it on. Okay, so the 6 steps for this one are, I'm going to show you how I like to do thumbnail sketches. Both of these are sheets that you can download at our website at letsmakeart.com if you don't have them already. So thumbnail sketches is one. The second step is I'm going to show you how you can use squares to your advantage to help lay out such a long quote. 3 is I'm going to do this in pencil. 4, I'm going to add color. 5, outline. And then 6, shadows. So it will all come together. The supplies that I'm using are a couple of them. This is a Tombow Dual Brush Pen 623. This is another brush pen. This is the Black Fude Touch Sign. This is a Zebra mild liner that is double-sided. And actually this is double-sided. So the reason why I'm showing you guys this is there's so many different lettering tools out there, and we wanted to give you so many different options. So this is the Twin Tone, which actually, Keenan, these come in so many different colors, right? We have a whole pack of them.
Yes, I think we have 2 or 3 different packs.
Sets of colors. So if you like this Twin Tone one, you can check out our website and we have a whole couple different sets. This is the Micron pen. This is an 05. And then I'm going to be using a pencil and a large eraser. Oh, and I should mention the journal. If you do have the dot journal or you want to get it, we will have it on our site, but it's a Carpe Diem one. Don't know the exact size. I think I wrote it on the thing, but it's on our website. Okay, so this is the quote that I'm going to be doing, being creative. Oh, Keenan, will you do the honors?
You want me to read it?
Read the quote.
I have to be able to see it. Let me use the full screen here. Being creative is not a hobby, it's a way of life.
That was so good.
Thank you.
So that is the quote. You can either follow along or you can also take the lessons that I'm going to give you guys, and you can apply it to any quote that you'd like to do as well. So step 1, thumbnail sketches. This is something that I personally love to do, and the whole point of it is just to get all those ideas out of your head. That means that if you have a long quote, so being creative is not a hobby, it's a way of life, figure out what styles you want them to be and what layout you want. So maybe it's being creative is not a, so maybe I make hobby bigger, and then it's a way of life. So what I'm doing is I'm just seeing and kind of experimenting with what words I have and what layout I'd like. So another way you can think about this is, are there any words in your quote that you have that you want to emphasize? So maybe, for example, do you want creative to be more emphasized? And that can be decided by either the size of it, or do you want to make it in a different style of lettering? So once you figure out and you go through this, you can decide which one you like. I just thought of another example that you can do. Maybe you make it all angled, being creative, and you'll notice this is my scribble handwriting. So this is not meant to be perfect. You might not be able to read it, but that's the whole point, is just to kind of figure out, okay, do I like this layout? And so what I ended up with was I did all of them in block, and I did want creative to be, oh, I said that with a funny emphasis. I don't even remember, creative. It just sounded funny in my head. I'm going to do this all in block. So I made being creative is not a hobby. So I remember when I went through this, I thought, okay, that first part kind of sounds like its own statement. And then it's a way of life. I decided to do that in a script style to make it a little bit different. And I wanted the life to be bigger to fit in that space. So again, this is my scribble sketches. So once you figure out and decide which one you like, Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and see how many lines I have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 different lines. So from there, what I did for you guys is, where did that go? Oh, to the back of this. Is if you're looking at this other sheet. So this was just a scan of this that I did in my notebook. And so this is a way to help you figure out the pre-step of just going for it. So you can either, if you're looking at this, you can either go for it and kind of freehand it, or what you can do is, I'm gonna do it in this notebook. Oh, this was the last project that we did together. But as I'm going to, let's see, hold on, let me think for a second. I'm gonna do it in my actual notebook. So you can do this on your own. I did this for you if you wanna do it directly on here, but I'm gonna show you how, if you wanna do it on your own so that you can figure out. So if maybe you have 6 lines, so that means you'd have 6 of these. And so the reason what I did is why you see different sizes is because you'll realize that creative was bigger, so I made this a little bit bigger. This sentence is a lot, or this phrase is a lot smaller, so that's why this is a lot smaller. So I'm doing this is I'm kind of eyeballing it for the first one. So you can kind of decide, do I want my quote to start all the way up here, or do I want it to start it lower? Maybe I'll mix it up for you guys and show you how I'm gonna envision my quote being here rather on this one. I'll have it higher. This one, it took up more of this page. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna do the same quote, but I'm just gonna make it a little smaller. So I'm gonna take the same thing and do that. And when I'm looking at this, what's going through my brain is being, fitting in here, it would have to be really wide to fit this whole word. And so there's a couple things that you can do. You can either erase it and just make it a little bit smaller, so not as wide. And maybe if you want to do this, you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, count. So on the 6th one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, so there we go. So maybe I just make it within that. So being creative. So I love using the dot journal because it helps to create straight lines for yourself. So again, this is just my template. Make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So when I'm looking at that, that's pretty, even though it's a little bit lower, that's okay with me. If you want to actually make it more centered, maybe you just decide and you shift everything up one, or you draw at the end some things on the top just to kind of level out your eye. So that's what this is for. This is for you to figure that out and show you. Let's see. Before I start and actually go for it, I want to show you guys, if you have our box on your step-by-step sheet, on the back, there are different options. So I wanted to show you that I took this same exact layout. So if we're looking at this, I took this same exact layout, but these look completely different, and it's simply because I chose different style of lettering. So I didn't change the layout of it, I simply made this in cursive, and this was in that open style that I like to do. This part I did change because I wanted to try and emphasize something different, so I'll retract my statement. And I did change one thing, but that was it. But you'll notice that this is the same, this is the same, and this is the same. So this is just there for you guys to see different options as well. But I'm just gonna do the same one. So I'm gonna draw directly in here. So I'm using these squares as my guideline for how tall I want my lettering to be. So I'm gonna do the same thing like I did here. Instead of making bean all the way across, I just drew a little pencil. You can draw a pin. I drew a little pencil right there to kind of fill in that space. So
I love that little pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, if you aren't really paying attention and this happens to you and you draw your word and you realize, shoot, it doesn't fit, this is why you got a handy dandy eraser, and you erase it. And so what I'm gonna do now is, instead of kind of mindlessly doing that, I'm gonna be mindful about it, and I'm going to make my letters skinnier. So if you guys can see on here, you can see how much skinnier, and they kind of look a little bit more squished. So essentially, I'm going to still write my same letters, but I'm going to purposefully make them shorter this way and more squish. Creative. So it fits like that. That doesn't really bother me that I have a little bit more room over there. But okay. And then, not a hobby. Okay, so this one I decided to do is script lettering. So again, I'm just using this square or rectangle as my guidelines. You can go a little bit outside of it if you'd like that. Okay, being creative is not a hobby, it's a way of life. Okay, oh, one other thing is for being creative, I decided that felt like another part of a phrase. That's why I broke them up into different ones. And I'm gonna make these into this bubble lettering style. So if you haven't done this before, this is a great way that you can do it, is I would start with your regular block lettering, and then you're gonna outline, sorry, I thought about it. I'm gonna teach you guys a different way of doing it, because I've taught that before. If you haven't, let's see, I did it in the past one when we were talking about goals. So if you go back and you wanna learn how to do bubble lettering a different way, you could do that. But I have another trick to show you guys that I just thought of that I'm gonna give to you all. Okay, so that's my layout. I'm good with that. I'm gonna go for color now. So if you guys know that and you've used these pens, they are a little bit more transparent. They are water-based, so that's why they're not like paint pens. They're super opaque. So with knowing that, if pencil lines don't bother you, then don't even think about it. If they kind of do, which is totally okay, what I suggest to do is use your eraser and just lightly go over it to the point where you can still see your lines a little bit, but they're just not as dark. So I'm lightly kind of grazing over this rather than pushing really hard into it. So you might not be able to see, I'm sorry, up there or over there. You might not be able to see the lettering, but
Can't see it at all.
okay. I swear it's there.
Maybe some of it.
Some of it. That's the whole point, is seeing some of it. Okay. Color. I'm going to use the Tombow Dual Brush Pen first. What?
Sorry, nothing. I almost broke into song.
Like what?
You heard the song, You Should Have Seen It in Color?
No, can you sing it?
It's like, you should have seen it in color.
What's that from?
I don't know, it's a song.
I love it.
I went a little flat there, but
That was great.
thank you.
I love it. Okay, so I was telling you guys my trick to create this is typically what I would do is I'd do what I did and then outline it. So, but instead for this one, I'm just going to press harder when I'm drawing this so it creates a thicker stroke rather than if I were to just kind of draw it normally and not think about it, it might be that thin. So you can see the difference how this is a lot thicker. So I'm pushing a little bit harder. So I'm not thinking about the typical thin on the up, thick on the down like we usually do, because I just want this to be all the same thickness and just thicker. So being creative. And you know what also is cool is that knowing that I had a little bit, tiny bit of space over there, I might just move over this A just a little bit to fill it out a little bit more. If you want to thicken some of these lines out. Okay, being creative. I had a little fun and I did this first with the zebra mild liner in the blue-green color. is not, oh, and also a little fun, I made the A a script A. That's probably hard to read. I think that's what I might have done is I did it once and then I realized it was hard to read, so I did it in another color. Okay, so I'm gonna do, let's see, I'm gonna do all of this in script. I'm not going to think about thin on the up, thick on the down. I'm just going to put pressure, or put an even amount of pressure for now, because I'm gonna go back over it. Is a way of, okay, now for life though, I am going to think about the thin and thick, because if you guys can look at this, is I left this open, so it really has a thicker stroke. So I'm going to actually think about what we've been learning, which is thin and then thick. And if you need to lift up, totally okay. Thin. So thick, thin. And you know what? If you can't do that, you could do it all thin. Here's a trick for you guys. If that isn't comfortable for you, and that is totally okay, do the lettering once like that, and then after realize, okay, when is my thick line supposed to be there? So thin, this is thick because my hand was going down here. So I'm going to just make this thicker and overlap it back over. And then it still has that thin and thick look, so it totally still works. Okay. So that is that. Now I'm going, oh, I forgot, I need a color in my pencil. So I'm gonna use the other side, or this side of my blue-green pen, and I'm just gonna color that in. Okay, so now I'm going to take the second step and I'm going to start to outline things. So when you're looking at this, it looks a little, might be kind of hard to read. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take my black micron pen and I'm going to outline this. So this is, like I said, the different way to do bubble lettering is I'm literally just going to outline this. So I can see my purple line and I'm just outlining it like that. And then I'm going to continue to do that. And I'm going to do this for the whole thing. I'm going to teach you one thing and then we're going to just go a little faster. But as you are doing this, you can either do all of this at once and then do the shadow like I'm going to show you, or you can do it each letter as you go. But I want to show you is, in addition to outlining it, is I'm going to add a shadow. So this time I mixed it up and I'm doing my shadow on my right side. So if you can see, the reason why this pops a lot more is just the simple thicker line right here. So this is all one thickness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that just a little bit thicker. So I'm doing it on the right side this time. So what that means is that the sunlight, or your light source, is coming from this side. It's hitting the letter and then it's casting a shadow on the side. So it's doing that. So, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this and we're gonna fast forward. Okay, so I realized I needed to pause this zooming because I switched pens and I wanted to talk to you guys about this. So as you saw, I was doing the being creative and I added the shadow with my micron pen. And then for this one, I just went over it in a little bit darker color. So this is the twin tone Sax blue. So I want it to pop a little bit more. And now what I'm doing is I'm going with my Fude sign pen. And I'm now thinking about thin on the up, thick on the down. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I just want to show you is that what I'm doing is I'm going thin and then I'm going thick to apply heavier pressure. So thick on the down, thin on the up. So this is just a style preference if you'd like to do this. But my suggestion is to take it slow. So take it in stroke by stroke and go slower. So thin on the up, thick on the down, thin on the up. So then that really pops. Okay, and you know what's really cool actually is you can see the difference between this one and this one. Is this one I just didn't press as hard on my downs. So especially on this Y, if you compare the Ys, this one is a lot thicker, and this is simply because I pressed harder. So there actually isn't a right or wrong way. It's more personal preference on how thick you want your letters to be. Just wanted to call that out so you could see that. And then the last one is I'm going to take life and do it like this style with the openness. So to do that is I'm going to apply thin pressure, and then I'm going to leave that open because I'm going to go over that. And then when I come down is I'm going to push harder, but I'm going to, I outlined basically the thick line, and I'm going to do it again here. And then it comes together right there on the thin part. So like that. So this is the same thing. I can decide, maybe on this one I didn't push as hard. So you can see the variance in thick versus thin lines. I'm going to leave it just to show the difference. So, but I think on this one I just didn't, I applied the same amount of pressure throughout the whole word. So I'm going to go thick. I'm going to apply a different amount of pressure. I'm leaving that open. And then this is thin. This is thick. So I'm outlining again. Thick. This F is interesting because it got it's okay. I'm just going to show you the difference. Is that, do you guys see how small the top of the F, what's our letter called? Miss Clavel?
Miss Clavel?
Is the top of her, I guess her hat?
Yeah.
The top part of her got a little bit smaller than this one, where this is a little bit longer. I mean, people will still know it says life, but I just want to show you that if you ever feel like your F is a little bit wonky, that might be why, is that one might be bigger than the other. And that just might be tripping you out. So just wanted to point that out. So thin on the up, thick on the down, thin on the up, and then I'm going to keep this open and do that. Then I decided to open that. And, oh, last finishing touch, I just added a little bit of color to my pen, and I'll color in my eraser. It's going to be a blue eraser. Fun. Okay, the last thing is that I'm going to erase this, but I'm just going to do it when we're off camera. I'm going to wait a few because I don't know, it might be okay, but I just, for personal comfort, I just like to wait a few minutes and then I'm going to go and erase it. I suggest though when you do erase it, when you get to this part, just don't press so hard. It's still okay and you'll be totally fine, but I don't want you to kind of rub into it because the reality is that if you rub too hard, you're going to start to just pull off the paper a little bit. So just kind of go around it and lightly go like this. Just show you. Like that. And there we go. So that was, you can see that I still took the same layout. I just made my squares, or my rectangles, essentially a little bit shorter to fit that space. So maybe when I was done with this and I felt like there was so much space up here, I can draw something here like I said, or if you want to draw a border or you want to draw some leaves, have fun with this. This is a great project to add to your dot journal if you ever find that you have a blank page and you just want to do something different and you don't want to do either your goals list or to-do list, you can have fun with it. So that is everything, guys. I hope you had fun with this January box. This is our last project of our January box together. We did dot journaling and I am excited for you to see what comes for February. But know that this journal, it's a box for you to have this journal that you can keep going this on your own. So each month actually I'll include the month that it comes out. So I'll have a February and we'll go over just writing February. So we're gonna still continue to use this together, but know that this is your personal thing. So take this however you'd like moving forward. So we have, I'm trying to think of my spiel, we have a Facebook group called Let's Make Art Lettering. If you'd like to join, we'd love to have you. And then we have an Instagram called Let's Go Make Art. And I hope you have a great weekend because it's Friday. Bye.